Yes, let's continue. I'll share the okay. Please hold on. I'll share the interrupt. Yes, okay. We discussed interrupt enable register. Okay, timer zero interrupt. Share. Okay, so timer zero interrupt. Okay, please hold on a second. Okay, let's look into an example now. How the interrupt works. So this we discussed, guys. Timer interrupt. That is, whenever the timer overflows, if the interrupt is enabled in IA register, it will automatically jump to these locations in the memory in the internal ROM space. It will start executing the code. We'll see one sample program which works based on the interrupt. Okay. Okay, this RETA is not discussed. No, RETA is a must. Where is RETA? I think I missed the discussion of RETA instruction. RETA instruction. Okay, just a second. Okay, and this RETA instruction we missed. It's not given here, but I'll somewhere here I'll discuss the RETA instruction. Then I'll come back to this program because here there is a discussion of RETA instructions. Okay, RETA instructions. Okay, that is level triggered. Okay, but RETA somewhere here. Yeah, here it is. RETA instruction. Okay, now. Okay. Yes. In the beginning, we understood, that the whenever the microcontroller is interrupted, okay. So let us say 8051 is executing some standard programs. Okay? 8051 is executing the program. Suddenly, there is an interrupt from a some particular source. Okay. So interrupt can be from either four possibility, in fact, five possibility. We are not expecting the master reset. There is pin number 9, master reset. Except that, let us say, interrupt can be from external interrupt pins. That is interrupt 0 and let us say interrupt 1. Interrupt 1. Okay. Or it can be internally generated interrupts that is using that may be from timer 0 or timer 1. Or it can be another possibility is that it can be from serial communication. It can be from serial communication. Okay, so these are the five possibilities. So these two plus this one. Okay. So whenever the interrupt is generated, what does the microcontroller does is it will complete the execution of the current instruction. It will complete the execution of the current instruction. Then it will jump to what is known as ISR, interrupt service routine, which is stored in the internal ROM space of the microcontroller, where the where the regular program is stored. In the same space, the interrupt service routine is also stored. When the interrupt service routine is executed, what the microcontroller has to do is, after the completion of interrupt service routine, it should go back to the main program. There is where the interrupt was generated, where the 8051 was interrupted. So that line of code is the line of code next to that line instruction uh, which was being executed at the point of generation of an interrupt. Okay, so to go back to the main program, assembly language programs makes use of instruction called as RETI instruction. RETI instruction. RETI stands for return from interrupt. Earlier we have seen one RET instruction. This RET instruction is the return from subroutine. It is a return instruction from subroutine. Now RETI instruction is a return from interrupt. RETI stands for return from interrupt. Yes, I think its record session is on. Okay. RETI stands for return from interrupt. The question here is, what is the difference between RET instruction and RETI instruction? Okay, so that is explained here. When interrupt service routines are finished, there is execution is completed. That is on the execution of RET instruction, the ISR instruction execution is completed. That the interrupt is finished. Okay, during the time, sorry, in this case, it is the RETI is not explained, not here. This is for the serial communication. Okay, RETI, it's given somewhere here, but I'm not able to. Just a second, I'll search the return from interrupt, RETI. There are so many occurrences of. Yeah, here it is. Okay, here the RETI instruction is explained. Is there any other occurrence of this page number 424? Okay, just a second. In case I'll check out in case. Okay, RETI instruction. Not this one, sampling that. Okay, we'll come to that sampling little later. Hold on. Okay, fine. Here is somewhat there is a the slight explanation of RET instruction. Okay, what happens on the occurrence of a interrupt? Okay, whenever interrupt occurs, first thing done by the microcontroller is it completes the execution of the current instruction. It will save the current status of all the interrupts internally. Okay. But it's not on the stack memory. It will save it in a temporary registers, because internal RAM registers are available. So many spaces are available. In that space, status of all the interrupts are stored. Okay, because some interrupts may be available. Lower priority interrupts is waiting for the execution. So that condition is stored internally, but not on the top of the stack memory. Okay, so when interrupt is applied to the microcontroller, it jumps to a particular location in the memory using a interrupt vector table that will provide the address of the interrupt service routine stored in the internal ROM space. Okay, from that point onwards, the execution continues. And the next point is that the microcontroller gets the address of the ISR from the interrupt vector table. Okay, there is a fixed address. For example, if the interrupt is due to timer 0, the address is 0003H. 0003H. This address is fixed. This cannot be changed. Sorry, not timer 0. It is interrupt 0. Sorry, not timer 0. It is interrupt 0. The address is 0003H. and it will jump to that location in the memory, and it will continue the execution of the program. Okay, it starts to execute the interrupt service routine until it reaches the last instruction of the subroutine, that is interrupt service routine, which is also a subroutine. It is nothing but a subroutine, just like a normal subroutine. The last instruction being RETI, which stands for return from interrupt. Okay, so at this point, what we have to understand is what is the difference between RET instruction and RETI instruction. You have to understand this basic difference. Okay, so on execution of RETI instruction, the microcontroller returns to the place where it was interrupted, something like this. Let us say this is the fifth line of the instruction. Execution. The microcontroller was interrupted. What does the microcontroller does is it will complete the execution of this fifth line. It jumps to the ISR of the corresponding interrupt. Okay, it will execute the interrupt service routine. On the execution of RETI instruction, it has to jump back to the sixth line of instruction, from where it will continue the execution of the main program. Okay, now before it jumps to the main program, first thing it has to do is it has to get the content of the program counter from the top of the stack memory. Okay, why? Because the reason for that is, yes, I'll write it again. This is, I'll take a new page. Okay, so let's say this is the main program. This is the main program. So this is the fifth line, for example. Okay, when fifth line is being executed by the microcontroller, there is an interrupt due to any source. It can be timer 0, timer 1, or it can be interrupt 0, or it can be interrupt 1, or it can be what is known as serial communication. It can be any source. Okay, whenever the interrupt comes, let's say during the fifth line of execution. Okay, so microcontroller, what is the first job it does is it will complete the execution of this fifth line of instruction. It will jump to ISR, interrupt service routine, whose address is provided by the interrupt vector table, which is a fixed interrupt vector table, which is a fixed address. Okay, which is a fixed address for a given source of interrupt vector table. Okay, before it jumps to ISR, what it has to do is, when fifth instruction is being executed, PC is pointing to next instruction. So before it jumps to ISR, what does the microcontroller does is it will save the content of PC on the top of stack memory. Using two push instructions, push PCH, that is PC high, PCH, and next instruction is push PCL. PCL means program counter low. Okay, these two contents are stored on the top of stack memory. Okay, that is PCH and PCL. Okay, after storing the content of PC on the top of stack memory, the interrupt vector table provides the address of the interrupt service routine. That address is copied into PC. Okay, that address is copied into PC. Okay, so now from this location onwards, interrupt service routine is executed. On the execution of the last instruction of interrupt service routine, that is a return from interrupt, the microcontroller should jump back to the main program. That is sixth line of program, main program, where the interrupt was generated, where the microcontroller was interrupted. Okay, but for the microcontroller to jump back to this sixth line, it needs the address of the sixth line. Where the address of the sixth line is available, it is available on the top of the stack memory. So thereby, what does the microcontroller does is, before it jumps back to the main program, to jump back to the main program, it needs the address of that main program, from where it will continue the execution of the main program. So before it jumps off, it will execute two instructions, that is pop PCL, and then it will pop PCH. Okay, because if you observe the order of push and pop, it should be reversed. That is, if the higher order byte is pushed first, then while popping off, the lower byte of the PC should be popped off. Okay, if this is reversed, the higher byte of the program counter and lower byte of the program counter will become swapped, and it will point it to some other wrong location of the main program. Okay, So this operation is done. That is when the return instruction is executed, pop instruction is executed, so that it points to the location in the main program from where the execution of the main program can be continued. Okay, fine. So that's one of the operation done by the return from interrupt. In fact, this is the same operation. This operation is also performed by RET instruction. This is same as the normal RET instruction. But what is the extra thing done by the RETI instruction? Okay. So then it starts the execution from that particular address. Okay, that means it will continue the execution of the main program. Okay. Oh, okay. So along with that, okay. So this RET instruction, just a second. RETI is explained somewhere here. I'll show you that. This is showing the timer. So this is full of timer, I guess. This chapter is okay. Interrupt is also given. Okay. Yes, I'll show you the RET instruction. Interrupt vector table, interrupt enable register, program counter, RET instruction. I don't know, come it is missing or sampling period. Okay, sampling we have to discuss something that. Okay, so that's correct. Just a second. RET instruction. It's RET is discussed with respect to level trigger. Okay. Somewhere there's a comparison of RET and RET instruction. What I'm looking for during the time interrupt service is executed. Okay, fine. This here we can observe this one point. There is 448 page, and check whether any other 448 page. Okay, yes, here it is. Okay, the author has explained with respect to the difference between RET instruction and RET instruction. Okay, so basic operation of both instructions are same. There is a return from subroutine. Okay, as the name suggests, return from subroutine. Okay, it will before return it will pop up for 2 bytes of the top of stack memory, which corresponds to the program counter and which corresponds to the address of the main memory. From there it will continue the execution. Okay, but RET instruction as an additional task, what it does is it will clear the interrupt in service flag, indicating that the servicing of the interrupt is over and 8051 now can accept new interrupt on that pin. Okay, yes, what does it mean is before the microcontroller jumps to ISR for the execution of interrupt service routine, interrupts will be disabled. All the interrupts will be disabled. All the interrupts will be disabled by the microcontroller. Why? Because while executing interrupt service routine, if there is an interrupt from higher priority interrupt, let us say for example, interrupt service routine is corresponding to serial communication is being executed. If there is an interrupt due to timer 0, microcontroller should be interrupted. That means this ISR execution should be interrupted. If that happens, what will happen is, this ISR will never be executed because any other interrupt is higher priority than compared to serial communication interrupt. Okay, so thereby to prevent that, what does the microcontroller does is, whenever the interrupt occurs, it will complete the execution of the present instruction. It will save the content of PC on the top of stack memory. It will copy the address of the interrupt service routine from the interrupt vector table. It will jump to that particular address. Before it takes a jump to the particular address, all the interrupts are disabled. So when all the interrupts are disabled, the microcontroller will execute the interrupt service routine. On the execution of RETI instruction, it will pop off 2 bytes from the top of stack memory that corresponds to the program counter. It will jump to the main program, continue the execution of the main program. Before that, before the continuation of execution of main programs, all the interrupts will be enabled. all the interrupts will be enabled, so that once the interrupts are enabled, microcontroller can now accept any interrupt from the any of the source. There is an additional function performed by the interrupt return from interrupt function. So if only RET instruction is used instead of RETA instruction as the last instruction of the interrupt service routing, it only block any new interrupt on that pin after the first interrupt, since the pin status would indicate the interrupt is still being serviced. Okay, that means instead of RET instruction we can use RET instruction, but that will not enable the interrupt on the completion of a interrupt service routing. Okay, so in case of timers there is TF0 and TF1, and in case of interrupt 0 and interrupt 1 there is there is timer 0 and timer 1. That is corresponds to TCON.1 and TCON.3. They are clear due to the execution of the RETA instruction. Okay, that is, because what is the meaning of the last line is, yes, observe this. If there was an interrupt due to timer 0, assume that there was an interrupt due to timer 0. How the interrupt is generated due to timer 0? Whenever TF0 flag is set to 1. Whenever TF0 flag is set to 1. Okay. Whenever TF0 flag is set to 1, there is an interrupt due to timer 0. ISR corresponding to timer 0 is executed. Okay. When RETA instruction is executed, it will clear these two flags. That is, it will clear TF0 flag. Okay. When TF0 flag is cleared, that means it is ready to accept another interrupt. Okay. So that is a basic difference between RET instruction and what is known as RETA instruction. It's okay. So that's what I wanted to discuss. Okay. So next is we'll take one simple example of a interrupt service routine program. This is RET and RET instruction is executed. Okay, fine. Here we go. Okay, so okay, this we discussed. Okay, let us take a simple program. We'll execute and we'll see the output of this program. So what is happening in this program? So it's a assembly code to get 8-bit of data continuously from port 0 and send the same data to port 1. Okay, that means 8051 is accepting the data through port 0, 8-bit of data, since each port is of 8-bit in size, and it will send the same data through port 1. Okay, that means port 0 is the input port and port 1 is a output port. Port 1 is a output port simultaneously, creating a square wave of, that means at the same time, that means while accepting data from port 0 and sending through port 1, parallelly microcontroller is generating a square wave of 200 microsecond period. Okay, that means it is generating the square wave on P2.1. okay, it is generating a square wave whose total time period is 200 microseconds. Whose total time period is 200 microseconds on P2.1. Okay, use timer 0 to create a square wave, that is at P2.1. Assume that frequency is 11.092 megahertz. Okay, fine. Because this is the first interrupt program we are coming across. So observe the program very carefully. It is very simple, simplest interrupt program. Okay. So what is our goal is, we have to generate a square wave on P2.1 whose total time period is 200 microseconds. 200 microseconds. Okay. So thereby first we have to select timer 0 in mode 2 operation. In this case, author has selected timer 0 in mode 2 operation. So thereby we have to find out what should be the initial value of a okay. So first we have to find out the initial value to be loaded to the timer TS0. Okay, how to find out the initial value to be loaded to the timer 0? Okay, so for this is it the calculation given? Okay, it is okay, it's not given, no problem. Okay, so for the initial, okay, how to find out the initial value is, total time period is 200 microsecond. Okay, total time period of the square pulse is 200 microsecond. So t is equal to 200 microsecond. Okay, so what is the time period of each cycle? Assuming 50% duty cycle. Assuming 50% duty cycle. Otherwise, it will be specified in the program. Okay, if it is not 50% duty cycle. Okay, so t on period is equal to 100 microsecond, and t of period is equal to 100 microsecond. Okay, that means the delay we have to generate is 100 microseconds. Okay, delay to be generated is 100 microseconds. 100 microseconds. Okay, how to calculate the number of clock pulses to be counted? Number of clock pulses to be counted can be calculated using the number of amount of delay to be generated, that is 100 microseconds, divided by time period of one machine cycle. Time period of one machine cycle. Okay, for a frequency of 11.0592 megahertz, 92 megahertz, time period of one machine cycle is 1.085 microseconds. Okay, so this will be approximately equal to 92. I think approximately, what is the value? It is 92, approximately 92. Okay, so the initial value loaded to the timer T0, since we are using timer 0 in mode 2 operation to generate a delay of 100 microseconds. 100 microseconds. We have to load the number of clock pulses to be counted to upper byte of the timer. So it will be automatically loaded to the lower byte of the timer, where the lower byte of the timer starts counting the clock pulse. Okay, it will start from 92. When it reaches a final count of FFH, it will generate the interrupt. Okay, is that clear, guys? I mean, timer operation we have discussed, in detail. Okay, so when the microcontroller is restarted upon reset, it will by default it points to the first location of PC is equal to 0000H. Okay, by default this is the location it points. Since we know that first 30 locations, in the not next page. Okay, in the ROM locations, this is the internal ROM space. Internal ROM space. When the microcontroller is reset, when the 8051 is reset or started, reset means it need not be reset always. When it is started, okay, PC points to the first location of 0000H. And the last location is FFFFH, assuming that the total space of the memory is 64 kilobytes. 64 kilobytes. Okay, yeah. The interrupt service routine will be stored in the beginning address. That is, for example, 0003 as the interrupt service routine for interrupt 0. Okay. Similarly, if we take 000B, it will store the interrupt service routine for timer 0. Okay. Then comes 0013H. It's easy to remember this address. 0013H, the ISR of interrupt 1 is stored. Okay. At location 001BH, the ISR of timer 1 is stored. At the location 0023H, serial communication ISR is stored. Interrupt service routine is stored. Okay. So thereby, it is always a good practice to leave some space to store the ISR. Okay. What space? That's a question. Okay. From what space we can start storing the main program? From what space we can start loading the main program? Okay. Let us say starting from 0030H. Okay, so because from 0023H the serial communication interrupt service routine will be stored. Let us leave some space. Approximately from 0030H we can start loading the main program. Okay, this means when the microcontroller is reset, it points to the first location of 0000H, where we cannot store the main program because we have to store only the ISR. We have to take a jump to some address. How to force the compiler to point to this location, or how to force the PC to change to this address? By using a jump instruction, because jump is the only instruction which can change the content of a PC. Okay. In this case, the author has used a long jump instruction. Okay. LJMP instruction. Where do we jump? We jump to the main program. Where do we store the main program? We store the main program starting from some location. Okay, that we can decide. This need not be 30H always. It can be 40H, 50H. Okay. Any location. Okay, so okay, now next is we have to specify the ISR, interrupt service routine. Okay, in this case the interrupt is due to timer 0. Okay, timer 0 corresponds to the address 000BH. Okay, fine. So thereby we have to specify the location of ISR of timer 0. Location of ISR of timer 0. Okay, and from which location we are going to store? We are going to store starting from 000BH. Why? Because whenever the interrupt is due to timer 0, Microcontroller will automatically jump to this location. If you change this address, it will give a wrong result because microcontroller will assume this as the default location. If you store ISR in some other location, it doesn't make sense, Program execution will result in a erroneous output. Okay, it will execute, but it will not serve the purpose. Okay, what we are doing in the interrupt service routine is that, okay, let us understand this. Okay, I'll take next page. Okay, what we are doing is we are using timer 0 in mode 2 operation. Okay, timer 0 is loaded with the initial count of 92H. Timer is started. Set B TR0. When the timer starts, it starts counting the clock pulse. It starts counting the internal clock pulse. When the count reaches the final count of FFH, okay, on the application of next clock pulse, timer 0 overflows to, that is TL0, not TH0, guys. It is the initial count loaded to TH0, which will be copied into TL0. Okay. When the timer overflows to initial count of 92H, because we know that mode 2 operation corresponds to 8-bit auto reload mode. Okay, so thereby it will automatically rolls back to not 92H. I'm sorry, this is again a mistake. This is not 92H. It rolls back to 00 only. It will rolls back to 00. But on the application of next clock pulse, it will be loaded with the initial count from the upper byte of the timer. So initial count becomes 92H. Okay. When this timer overflows, the overflow flag is set to 1. TF0 flag is set to 1. TF0 flag will be set to 1. Okay. Whenever the flag is set to 1, that means it has generated an interrupt. It will generate an interrupt. Okay. So when the interrupt is generated, that means on P2.1, we have to complement the bit. Okay. So initially, let's say for example, it is initially high. Whenever TF0 is set to 1, that means it has generated some 100 microsecond delay. We need to toggle the bit. P2.1, we have to toggle the bit. From 1, it goes to 0. Again, the timer is started, and the timer will start. Okay. Again, it will count. It will generate 100 microsecond delay. It will generate interrupt. Whenever it generates interrupt, we are going to toggle the bit. We are going to toggle the P2.1 to generate a square wave of a total time period of 200 microsecond on P2.1. Okay. So thereby, what does this interrupt service routine should have? This interrupt service routine should have now in this program, in this simple program, as a single line of instruction, that is complement P2.1. Why complement? So as P2.1 is complemented, we are generating a square wave. Okay, and each on period and off period as a delay of or a time period of 100 microseconds. Okay, so once this ISR is executed, of course, in this case, as I said, it has only one line, that is complement P2.1. After executing complement P2.1, we have to go back to the main program. The main program, that return operation is achieved using the instruction RETI, that is return from interrupt. Okay, fine. Yes, this was the ISR, interrupt service routine. Very simple program. Okay, ISR is very simple. Next, let us look into the main program. What does the main program consist of? The main program will start from the address 0003H. Okay, we are forcing the compiler or PC to point to this address using the assembler directive org. Okay, in this org, in this address, main program is stored. What we do in this main program is, first we'll configure the timer. That is, we'll select a timer 0 in mode 2 operation. We'll configure port 0 as an input port. Why? Because I think I erased this. Okay, because we are accepting the data from port 0. So port 0 should act as an input port. Okay, and we are sending the data through port 1. That means port 1 should act as an output port. So port 0 is the input port and port 1 is the output port. Okay, and hence we are making port 0 as an input. By default, all the ports are input ports, but it is as a good practice, it's a good programming practice to configure the port as input port, because Let us say in earlier program execution it was configured as a output port. So there is all possibility. So it's always a good practice to configure the port to a particular condition, either input port or output port, before the actual usage of a port. Port 0 as a input port. Okay. Of course, port 1 is not configured as a output port. That we can do it here actually. Move how to configure port 1 as a output port. Move P1 comma #00H. So this will configure the port 1 as a output port. Okay, here we go. Okay, so number of clock pulses to be counted is 92. So to load the value to the timer in the earlier class, when we discussed mode 2 operation, we understood that if number of clock pulses to be counted, we need not calculate in decimal method. What we do is number of clock pulses, if it is 92, 256 minus 92, or convert this 92 into hexadecimal value in hexadecimal method. Let's say some value XYZ, for example XY. So subtract that from FF and add 1, so that will give the value to be loaded to the timer. In mode 2 operation, you can straight away load the value to the upper byte of a timer using the minus symbol. Compiler will internally convert this into its ones complement, which corresponds to its hexadecimal value, that is A4H. Okay, so load initial value to the timer. Hold on a second. Load initial value to the timer. So the initial value in this case is A4H. Not here. Okay. Yeah, A4H. Okay, and enable the interrupt. This is very important. We are loading initial value to the timer. Fine. We have to enable the interrupt due to timer 0. If this is not done, then even when the timer overflows, even when timer 0 overflows, it will not generate an interrupt. Okay. So out of these many bits, this is the timer 0 bit. Timer 0 bit. So only this bit is set to 1, and the first bit corresponds to enable all, EA all. This we discussed in the last class. EA bit. This bit should be 1. If this bit is 0, no matter which bit is 1, it doesn't generate a interrupt. Okay. So load 82H to IE register to enable the interrupt due to timer 0. Start the timer. Okay. Once the timer is started, timer starts counting the clock pulse. Okay. During that time, during the time when the timer goes from TL0, when the TL0 is copied with the initial count of A4H. Okay. So on the application of clock pulse, timer lower byte of the timer continues to count the clock pulse A5, A6H, like this. It continues. When it reaches the final count of FFH, on the application of clock pulse, the count is reset to 00H. Then the TF0 flag is set to 1. TF0 flag will be set to 1. Okay. Till this point, this takes around approximately 100 microseconds, because it is generating a delay of 100 microseconds. So during this period, what we do is we load the data received through port 0 to accumulator. The same data we send it through port 1. Why? Because there is a normal operation microcontroller is doing. Okay, it is receiving the data through port 0 and it is sending the data through port 1. Okay, so this is the operation continuously the microcontroller is doing. Okay, observe this, it is an infinite loop. So these two lines will be executed continuously until there is an interrupt from the timer 0. Okay, that means when the timer 0 overflows, that is when the TF flag is set, TF0 is set to 1. This main program is interrupted. For example, let us say it is executing this line. It is executing this line of the program, main program. The flag is set to 1. That is TF0 flag is set to 1. Okay. What does the microcontroller does is it will complete the execution of this line and it will jump to the address ISR, whose address is 000BH. Okay. And it will continue the execution of the program. What is 000BH consist of? It consists of only one line, complement P2.1. Okay. What is complement P2.1? So initially P2.1, let us say for example, if it is initially high, it is complemented to 0. Okay. And when it goes back to the main program, okay, there is here if you observe end of the main program, this operation repeats. Since it is an infinite loop, this code is an infinite loop. The microcontroller will be executing these two lines continuously till the compiler is stopped manually. Okay. So thereby, since it is a mode 2 operation, this operation continues. When the timer overflows, that is when the timer is reset from FF to 00, it will copy the upper bit of the data from TH0, that is A4H, and this operation continues. Okay. So thereby, when the RETA instruction, let's observe this, this RETA. Okay. In most of the timer programs, if you have observed, what we used to do is we used to this. What we do is I'll explain. I'll explain it here. Okay. What we used to do is after starting the timer, timer 0, timer 1, wait till the flag is set to 1. Jump to not bit TF0. Wait till the flag is set to 1. TF0 dollar symbol. That means same line is executed. Okay. Let us call it as loop. Okay, or wait, let us call it as wait, no problem, any name. Okay, after once the overflow flag is set to 1, we used to stop the timer, that is clear TF0, and we used to stop the timer, clear TR0. These two operations need not be done whenever we are using an interrupt. Why? Because this RETA instruction does this job. What does this RETA instruction does? It will clear the flag before it goes back to the main program. Okay, that is in the ISR. This, I'm sorry for this. Yes, in the ISR, this RET instruction is executed. When RET instruction is executed, it will jump back to the main program. Before it jumps back to the main program, it will clear the TF0 to 0. It initially was set to 1. That's why it jumped to this interrupt service routine. Before it goes back to the main program, when RET instruction is executed, TF0 will be set to 0. TF0 will be set to 0, so that next time when the timer overflows, next time when the TF0 flag is set to 1, it can generate an interrupt. If RETA instruction does not reset TF0 to 0, then microcontroller will continuously generate an interrupt. Guys, it is something like this, okay. Yes, when does the microcontroller generate interrupt? Guys, let us understand it like this. Okay. When the timer overflows, okay, that is when it goes from FF to 00, okay, TF0 is set to 1. TF0 will be set to 1. Okay, so it is loaded with the initial value A4H. This operation continues. Okay, what does this return from interrupt instruction, RET instruction, does this? When it goes back to the main program, TF0 will be reset to 0. This we need not do it manually. Compiler will take care of. Okay. This microcontroller will take care of. If RET instruction does not reset the flag to 0, what will happen is, when the initial value is loaded to the timer, what is the condition of TF1? Let us assume that it is not reset to 0 by the RETA instruction or by the microcontroller. It is still 1. That is TF0 is still 1. Okay. When the microcontroller, when the timer was overflown, when the TF0 was set to 1, P2.1 was complemented. P2.1 bit was complemented from, for example, let us say I2 low. Okay. When on the application of next clock pulse, initial value is loaded to the timer. Okay. In this point, still the TF0 is set to 1. This TF01 always generate an interrupt. This will always generate an interrupt. Okay. Whenever interrupt is generated, P2.1 is complemented. Why? Because it jumps to ISR. When it jumps to ISR, in ISR there is only one line, that is complement P2.1. So this P2.1 is again complemented. Okay. Again, this operation repeats. Okay. That is for every one clock pulse. For every one clock pulse, P2.1 is complemented. So then the time period of this P2.1 is approximately 1.085 microseconds. Why? Because a time period of execution of one instruction is approximately one machine cycle, and time period of one machine cycle is approximately 1.085 microseconds. What is our intention is, we need to generate 100 microsecond delay as a delay using the timer on P2.1. So the total time period is 200 microsecond. Okay. So thereby, one of the important operation of this RETA instruction is that whenever timers are used, that is either timer 0 or timer 1 are used to generate an interrupt, before it goes back to the main program, this overflow flag should be set to 0 before it goes back to the main program. Otherwise, it will continuously force the compiler to execute ISR based on the condition of TF1. TF1, if it is always 1, it will generate a interrupt continuously. Okay. So thereby, So that that's why we don't see that clear TF0 instruction here, because that is taken care by the RETI instruction. Okay, so that's how the these two lines are executed continuously. Whenever the interrupt occurs, microcontroller will complete the instruction, whichever instruction, either this instruction or this first this instruction or this instruction. It complete the execution of this instruction, any instruction, any one of this instruction. It will go to ASR, that is 000BH. There is only one instruction, complement P2.1. Okay, this will execute this instruction. On execution of RET instruction, it will go back to the next instruction. It will go back to the next instruction, and it will continue the execution of the main program. Okay, fine. Yes, the execution of this program I'll show it sometimes in the next class. I'll show this step by step. I'll execute, and we'll see how the compiler jumps to the ISR of this particular address, that is 000BH for a timer 0. The same thing you can try it for timer 1 also. In timer 1, the address will become 001BH. 001BH. That's okay? Okay, fine. So this will continue, guys. Okay. So guys, tomorrow I don't have a class as it is. So what we do, let us do is that I don't know what time I'll get the class. I have to speak to the faculties and I have to fix the class. I'll let you know anyway. Morning I'll message you. So based on the availability of the classes. Okay. So let us have the assignment demonstration. So if possible, guys, let us wind up this assignment demonstration. I don't want to continue in another class. Okay. If you can complete in 1 hour, it's good, well and good. We can continue with the discussion of interrupt, because after interrupt we are still we have to discuss the 8051 part. I'll show you the syllabus. Hold on a second. After a discussion of interrupts, we have to discuss serial communication. Okay, so after the interrupt is completed, we have to discuss the serial communication. We will not discuss in detail. I think in maximum 2 class I should be able to complete this. After this, we have to start the first unit. There is processors. 886 part. For timing, we'll take up this interfacing discussion later, because this takes a lot of time. So if this discussion is started, we may not be able to start the first unit. Okay, so thereby and me and Satish sir decided to start 886 discussion after the completion of the serial communication. So possibly if I complete the serial communication in this week, every day I'm going to take extra class anyway. So if I can complete serial communication this week, from next week we'll be able to start 886 processors. That's the idea, guys. Let us see how it goes. But tomorrow 2 hours I'll try to take. If I get 2 hours, hopefully I'll get at least 1 hour. In that we'll have the demonstration. But see that whichever team not demonstrated, give the demonstration tomorrow. We'll wind up, and so that next week can have the AIT programs for this what do you call, using Protea software. Okay, so that programs I will be sharing in a few days from now. But since third interns is postponed because of the pending exams will be conducted, we'll get some time, but we can't take it for granted, because lot of portions to be completed. Okay, so every day we have to have one session, one class we have to engage, and we have to complete the portions. That's okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining. See you soon.
Hello.
Yes.
About the internals we had, second internal. The C programs which were asked were quite difficult to solve.
Okay.
And we have not come across. Others have also noticed this, and we have not solved these kind of questions.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so the idea. Tell me.
Yes, sir. That only. If you can take few classes to explain.
Yes, we'll discuss. I'll discuss. Correct. That's a problem. The problem is not the discussion. Problem is the availability of time. That's why I'm planning to take at least 1 hour a day. Earlier we had only 3 hours. Now I'll take every day classes. There we'll discuss the two programs, as you said. Program discussion, that is the second internals programs, as well as some additional programs. Because ultimately, as I used to say, our purpose of the course is to learn the programming. Okay, so theory questions, theory knowledge is required for our understanding, but ultimately we have to end up in rating a code. Second interns, understand, there is a uh, I don't I don't think it's too lengthy paper, but maybe it took more time to understand the programs and write. Okay, because we have to practice those programs. So I'll discuss those. I'm working on the programs. Once it is ready, me and Satish are working on it. We'll share the solution of the second test. Okay, and I'll also discuss the programs. Okay, so such programs we'll discuss few more so that we get a good idea about rating the programs. Yes, okay. Yes, don't worry. We'll not, we will leave at that second test point. We'll continue the discussion of those programs. Because we have to ultimately learn those programs. Yes,
ಸರ್
okay.
ಅದು ಆ ಥರ ಎಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬಂದರೂ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಲಿಟ್ರಲಿ ಏನು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದೇನೋ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಅದು ಕಲಿಬೇಕೀಗ ನಾವು, ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಕಲಿಬೇಕೀಗ. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಅವೇ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್, but it is online test. It is instructed to give a
because
straight,
all the resources all straight away programs are there. Only one task or two tasks.
ಯಾವ್ದಪ್ಪ ಆಲ್
Questions in resources, textbooks or anywhere else.
Other courses, you mean to say other subjects?
This only, MPMC only.
MPMC only, okay.
One
only
or two task questions were there.
5A, 5B we included theory questions so that you can comfortably write TMOD and TCON theory on that. But other programs we have to analyze and we have to write. Okay, I understand, so we need to spend more time on I understand, we have supposed to spend more time on program, but without the knowledge of theory we can't do that. So that's the problem we are facing, and that too, it's only 3 credit course. 3 credit means 3 hours per week. Many of your other courses are 4 credit course. For example, there is a control system, EM2, all of them are 4 credit course. That's why they have completed the portion. I think in most of the courses you don't have any topics to discuss, I guess. I mean, faculties have completed the portion. But in MPMC, it is 3 hours per week, and 2 courses we are discussing actually, processor as well as controller. Earlier we had only controller part. Now the processor part is also included. It is becoming very hectic, because we have to learn the processor part also, processor programming as well as control programming. Okay. Yes, okay. In exam, before exam, we learn at least the target is before exam we have to learn the programming part. If such programs comes in the exam also, we should be in a position to write the program. It's okay. Give me some time. I'll discuss the second internals programs. It's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you. See you soon.